Today we continue our Players in the Pipeline series. We talked to Nick Nielsen, the play-by-play broadcaster of the Prince Albert Raiders, to discuss Justice Christensen and Michal Orsulak. Welcome to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast.
Welcome back to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast. We are a podcast brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. We are sponsored by DraftKings. I'm one of your hosts, Connor.
I'm the other host, Kyle. We're a show brought to you by fans for fans. We're not officially partnered with the Griffins or Red Wings. We bring you this show as season ticket members, looking to bring the Griffins news to the forefront as the offseason goes on. Players continue to come and go from the Griffins roster, so we're going to try to keep you updated on that. Today, we're going to continue our Players in the Pipeline series, talking to the play-by-play broadcaster of the Prince Albert Raiders, Nick Nielsen. We'll talk about Justice Christensen and Michal Orsulak, the new Red Wings goalie draft pick.
Yeah, it's a really cool interview. Considering we just recently talked to Joe Prohorales over from the Everett Herald net. So that's really cool. Talking to both sides of this upcoming rivalry, these two teams playing deep into the WHL playoffs this year. And nice getting some WHL feedback and kind of some insight.
Yeah, as Nick Nielsen had some things to say about Carter Bear as well in their matchup, and it was the finals for Everett Silvertips and the Prince Albert Raiders where they met up, and Everett Silvertips ended up on top. So, yeah, some interesting things for Nick Nielsen on that end. And then we can talk about, before we get into the interview, free agency for the NHL is going on, which leaves the Griffins losing a couple players here and there and gaining some as well, retaining some. So we'll cover the players leaving first. We have Edwards Traumax going to the Edmonton Oilers. Unfortunate, we thought he was departing to go back overseas, and we just were not able to retain him. And then
really sad because I honestly thought he could really play up there in the NHL. He was a top goal scorer down here. I think he had second in goals for the team, for the Griffins. Huge contribution. He used his size a lot, and I think he could have made some noise up in the NHL. Coming over, made a lot of noise in the Worlds. He's just a really good player. Us Griffins fans have known to love him now after last year, and we're real disappointed to see him go.
Yeah, a huge part of the great season we had this last year. So best of luck to you in the Edmonton system. I'm sure they will utilize you the best they can over there. So enjoy Mike Babcock. We'll go on to Ante Tuomisto is departing the system, a guy that's been in the Griffin system for about 4 or 5 years now. And
he's going to Vegas organization.
Yeah, so he'll be in the Vegas organization. So hopefully he gets a chance in the NHL over in their system. But yeah, it wasn't going to happen over here, unfortunately, for Tuomisto. But thanks for everything you did for Grand Rapids over the last couple of years.
Yeah, he actually led the team in defense and points the year before last year, and then he was very, very close to leading it this year.
Yeah.
So going to be a big miss.
Yep, big missing piece for the defense this year to be filled by hopefully one of these big-time prospects. So, and we have Erik Gustafsson departing to the LA Kings. Wish you luck, Erik Gustafsson. I know the Red Wings fans probably have mixed emotions on this. They weren't too kind to him when he got departed to the Griffins. So
yeah, but us Griffins fans, he came down here with a good attitude, being an NHL player who probably didn't want to play in the AHL. You play all your time. I mean, we were bringing him over to Detroit thinking he was going to be a gas to spare. Really good guy. He plays a year up there, and then he has to come down and play for the AHL team. Had a great attitude about it. He led the team. He was the best defenseman I think we had this year. Well, last year, and we're gonna miss him.
Yeah, being one of the leaders and veterans of this great season we had, just like Tuamisto was. So, yeah, big opening spaces on the defense now for Grand Rapids to move up. That being said, we did retain Carter Mazer. We ended up signing Carter Mazer, so I do expect him to be a Red Wing this year. I would imagine he would make the team out of camp.
I believe John Leonard, Willem Philander, Sheldon Dries, Dominic Shine, and Carter Mazer would all have to pass waivers to come back to Grand Rapids. And yeah, like Kyle said, Mazer probably will be claimed if he's dropped.
And you got to wonder about John Leonard as well there too. So.
Yeah, I would hope John Leonard just gets a shot up in Detroit this year. Same kind of opinion with Trail Max. I think they both should have had a job up there, or at least a chance to get the job up there. But is what it is.
And then we did sign a couple players out of the free agency here. We get Wilmer Skoog, a guy out of the Charlotte Checkers, center, someone that's probably going to be very helpful down the middle, as it seems like the Griffins are lacking a little bit in center talent right now. So welcoming Wilmer Skoog, and then we got Chase Stillman signing on for a one-way 2-year contract. So a guy we'll probably see in Grand Rapids unless he can find a way to make the Red Wings.
Yeah, he's a younger 23-year-old guy, and he kind of bounced around from teams. Last year, I think he played on 3 different teams. He played for the Penguins, he played for the Comets, and he played for the Abbotsford Canucks. Originally in the Comet system, I believe, and then now he's on his 4th AHL team. But he did have some assistant captain time playing in the OHL. So on 2 different teams, he's assistant captain. So I'd like to see that kind of leadership being brought over, and we'll take him.
Yeah, and then we got Cameron Butler gets a Grand Rapids contract, a guy that played mostly in the ECHL, had quite a few AHL games, but he's going to be trying to get some more AHL games here in Grand Rapids, but just some solid forward depth that Grand Rapids will need moving along here in the season. And then last but not least, we have Jacob Bryson, who signs a Red Wings contract. And I believe this is going to be more like a 7th defenseman and a little bit more of a veteran talent to come in for Grand Rapids as well.
Yeah, any of these guys could make the Red Wings or not even play on the Griffins or get traded at any point or get sent down to Toledo. You just never really know what the plan is for any.
Yeah, but as of right now, just looking at the depth chart for Grand Rapids, looks like some just well-needed forward depth, some defenseman depth, and if anything's coming down the pipeline from Detroit, we use all the help we could get down here. Coming off a really hot season, losing quite a few of those key contributing pieces, so you never know what you get on the other end of that. That being said, we can along here, we'll get into our DraftKings ad, and then we'll dive directly into our interview with Nick Nielsen, the play-by-play announcer for the Prince Albert Raiders, and we'll talk about Justice Christensen and Michal Orsulak. It all comes down to this: a best-of-7 battle, and DraftKings has you covered every step of the way. The DraftKings Sports app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets. Sweat every shift of the series, all in one place, with one app. New DraftKings customers, sign up with code THPN, spend $5 to get $200 in rewards within 21 days. That's code THPN, in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Bet with DK Sportsbook.
Bet with DK Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, bet text pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Void in Ontario. Event contract trading with DraftKings predictions involves risk of loss. Sportsbook bonus bets expire in 7 days. $50 in predictions dollars issued weekly for 3 weeks expire in 1 year. Redeem one non-withdrawable reward. Availability varies. Predictions offer void in New York. Ends June 28. Terms at dkng.co/audio.
So today in the show for our players in the pipeline, we have Nick Nielsen, the play-by-play voice of the Prince Albert Raiders. How's it going, Nick?
It's going well, Kyle, Connor, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here. Been a lifelong Red Wings fan here, so love getting a chance to talk about the team and some of the prospects coming from this way.
Yeah, so we're here to talk to you mainly about Justice Christensen and the new draft pick, Michal Orsulak. So we'll talk to you about those guys, but we want to talk about you first. What got you into hockey? What got you into the Red Wings? Kind of tell us your background and how you got into announcing as well.
Absolutely. So kind of the Cliff Notes version of it. I'm from Saskatchewan, Canada, a little town called Wilkie, where it's a town of about 2,000 people, and Saskatchewan, it doesn't get talked about as one of the hockey crazy markets in the world, but I think people here in Saskatchewan might be more hockey crazy than anywhere else. There's no NHL team here, but you've got a province of about 1 million people. It's bigger than a country like Sweden, so we're all spread out all over the place, and every little town's got a senior hockey team that plays competitive hockey against each other. So that's kind of where my love for the game came from, is going to these small 500 person rinks sort of thing that have 200 people in them a night kind of thing, and watching senior hockey. We were a bunch of rowdy high school kids yelling at guys over the glass and everything like that. Saskatchewan here, it's got the Western Hockey League is pretty present here. There's also the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. That was where I got my start with Weyburn Red Wings behind me. Did 2 seasons of senior hockey. And then my second year of senior hockey on the radio, I also got a job doing the Weyburn Red Wings. I was the voice of the Weyburn Red Wings for 2 years, and then moved to a different radio job and went to Kindersley, where I was the voice of the Kindersley Clippers for a year as well, also in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. And then I moved back to Weyburn and took a role with the team as their marketing and communications director, I think is what my title was. I was also their play-by-play voice for 2 years there. And now the last 2 seasons I've been here in Prince Albert as the play-by-play voice of the Raiders. So it's going into overall my 8th season of junior hockey, 9th season on the radio with it. I would not rather, there's nothing I would rather be doing in my life. I absolutely love calling the hockey games. It's the best feeling in the world. And being a Red Wings fan, boy, have I had a great broadcast crew to listen to for a long time. Ken Daniels, Mickey Redmond. I mean, what an absolute gem of a couple of guys. And I think myself and my color commentator Marty Ring here in Prince Albert, we kind of try or at least I do, I think we have a very similar dynamic to those two, where Mickey Redmond, he sounds like your grandpa telling stories on the couch, and he's got so many stories from being involved with the team so long, and Kenny brings just such a great energy. And I think me and Marty bring something similar. Marty's been around the team forever. His family used to billet for the Raiders as well. And the likes of Mike Modano and Leon Draisaitl both stayed at their house during their time in Prince Albert's. And fun little fact for you, since we're on it, Leon Draisaitl grew up as a Red Wings fan. There's a great photo of him hugging Mike Modano when they came here to Prince Albert, because they both stayed in the same room, just 20 years apart. Draisaitl's wearing a Red Wings shirt in that in that photo too, so had to throw that out there. But yeah, that's a little bit about me, kind of the Cliff Notes version of it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and I love the Ken Daniels comparison there. He's always keeping Mickey on track. He's give him a little bit of a borderline to follow sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. But man, I love listening to those two. I mean, what a special pair.
So we can talk about the Raiders then. Now that you've the whole season has progressed, the playoffs are over, things have settled down, and now you guys are putting players into the NHL draft. So how did the season go for you? What got those guys into the draft?
Such a great year for us. I think it was really evident from the start that we were going to have a good year. Last year, we had a second round exit to the Medicine Hat Tigers. They were a juggernaut last year. They had led by Gavin McKenna last year. But we had a really, really great first round series last season against the Edmonton Oil Kings, where we had home ice advantage. Game 5, we lost, and we were down 3-2 in the series going back to Edmonton. But man, the crowd in Game 5 was we were down 3-1 in the series after opening it up. Had a gutsy comeback win in Game 5. had sent the series back to Edmonton. And then we had a just phenomenal Game 6. The Art Hauser Center here, the home ice of the Prince Albert Raiders, is something special. And Game 5 last year, the fans just brought it so much. The guys fed off it through Game 5. They fed off it through Game 6. Final minute, games tied, score on the power play, win it, come back at Game 7. We were undeniable in our own building. And then we go to Medicine Hat for the next round. And Medicine Hat was kind of the expected team to win, and they did. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for us. We got swept that year, but that was kind of the groundwork leading into this 25-26 season. We were led by Justice Christensen. He was our captain the year before. He was the captain last season as well in his 20-year-old year. And we're going to talk a lot more about his leadership later, I'm sure. But he was kind of the glue that held this team together. He was the guy. He was the guy who everybody turned to lead the team, whether it was on or off the ice sort of thing. And him going to the Detroit Red Wings camp at the start of last year was huge. He got the invite for it, came back motivated. Those are the only games he's ever missed as a Raider, was when he was gone for Red Wings camp. And he really established himself as leader of this team. We had two other great 20-year-olds as well, and Aiden Neurring and Braden Doobie, who are both going to be going to college here as well to continue their hockey careers. But the other thing is, too, Michal Orsulak came in. And last year, the season before, we had Max Hildebrand, goaltender of the year. He's now playing with Bemidji State. We didn't know how we were going to replace our goaltender, because Hildebrand played more goals or more games in between the pipes than anybody in 24-25. And now all of a sudden he was a 20-year-old. He's gone. Comes, and what are we going to do to replace our goaltender? Well, we go to the well and we find this big man from Czechia between the pipes, and Michal Orsulak, who's just a great showman, and I cannot wait to talk about him. But he was phenomenal. He stepped into a role that we thought was impossible to fill, and he did an amazing job of it. He had a great supporting cast behind him in Steele Bass and Dimitri Fortin throughout the year as well. But, Orsulak really established himself. We started off the season as the final team to lose in regulation. I think we were about 15-0-1 or something like that when we finally had our first loss in regulation in November. And then trade deadline hit, and we took a swing for the fences, brought Braden Coots here, of course, first round pick for the Vancouver Canucks last year. And he was a catalyst that took us from one of the best teams in the league to a championship contender. It was us and Everett kind of at the top of the league all year long. Medicine Hat was right on our heels. Go to the playoffs and beat the Red Deer Rebels in the first round. Beat the Saskatoon Blades, which they're our rivals down the road, just an hour down the way. So these two teams don't like each other, and we swept them, and that felt unreal. And then third round, we get in against Medicine Hat again, and we're able to take it from them in 6. And then we go to Everett, and Everett was a juggernaut. And, we played real well, beat them in game 1 in their building, but Everett never lost 2 games in a row all season long, and they weren't poised to do so again in the playoffs. They beat us in 4th straight, came here in Prince Albert and won it in our building. I mean, it was such a special year. And from what we heard from the team from the very beginning was how close this group was. And everybody said it's the closest group of guys they've ever been a part of. When we added pieces at the trade deadline, Brandon Gorzinski, Braden Coots, Maddox McKegarty, they all said the same thing. Like, it's crazy how welcomed we are. This city in Prince Albert's only, I think, about 40,000 people at most. And so all the guys here, they live 10 minutes away from each other. They see each other all the time, whether they're at the rink or after or away from the rink. It's easy for all these guys to hang out because they can basically just walk to each other's house everywhere they live. And as a result, we had such a close team. They loved it last year. They loved playing for each other. And I think that's such a big thing when you can trust the guy beside you. You want to work harder for him. And last year was evident for it. We were, just a couple games away from having a WHL championship here.
Yeah, clearly there was a lot of good chemistry there with a lot of these players. I mean, I could see on the Dax and Rudolph when he played with Christensen. It looked really good, those two on defense. Crazy. Dax and Rudolph going 4th overall this year in the draft.
Yeah, and Christensen was his defensive partner for almost every game Rudolph played here in Prince Albert too. He protected him when he needed to protect him early on, and kind of showed him what it meant to be a pro. And I think a lot. I think those two are still going to be best friends for a long, long time after they leave here. And a lot of what Rudolph's going to do in the playoff or in the NHL, I think a lot of that is going to come from what he learned from playing alongside Juice.
Yeah, so let's kind of talk about Justice Christensen. Am I saying his name right?
Christensen, yeah.
Christensen, okay. So Justice Christensen obviously has a lot of really good offensive upside, and he looks really good from an outsider's perspective. But you've actually got to watch him hands-on, and you've got to observe him. I mean, me and Kyle have only seen pretty much him in Detroit camp and highlights. So we don't really know much about what to talk about with him. So it's nice to bring someone on like you to talk about something you know about. So
someone who's seen the guy and play in action? I mean, obviously you've seen him play by play. That's what you do. So I'm excited to talk to someone. And yeah, a guy that really wasn't on my radar at all until he was a camp invitee, basically, and then gets the amateur tryout and makes the most of it. Lines up into the Red Wings preseason. So yeah. I mean, what have you seen out of this kid once he went back to Prince Albert?
So Christensen, when I think of, if I'm going to describe him in one word, the first word that comes to mind with Christensen is undeniable. He is such a motivated individual. He's such a motivating individual. You be around this kid and you're going to want to be better yourself. And what a story he's had so far. I wasn't around for all of it here. I've only been in Prince Albert the last 2 years, but a guy who's passed over in the WHL draft, nobody wanted him then, took that as motivation, goes back to AAA, gets his butt in gear and works like crazy and earns himself a tryout with the Raiders as a 17-year-old. And from there on out, he never missed a game with his team except to go to Red Wings camp in preseason. I think he missed 3 games last year, and that's it. And when he got to the Raiders, pardon me, it was not the best situation. We were coming out of, we'd kind of loaded up going into the pandemic. Pandemic shuts down everything all of a sudden here. Raiders were the champions in 2019 and had hopes they were going to repeat in 2020. And all of a sudden that bubble season kind of shut everything down. And all of a sudden the window the Raiders had to go for a second championship was gone because all those players aged out. And now it was time to rebuild when Christensen showed up and plays a big role as a 17-year-old, 18 years old. They start trading some guys away, getting big assets back for him here and starting to load up again. And as a result of that, Christensen is an 18-year-old wore an A on his sweater with his team. A year and a half ago, he wasn't even drafted. And then 19 years old, he is without a doubt the Raiders captain. No question in my mind who it was going to be. Same thing as a 20-year-old. When you talk about the character of this kid, he is exactly what you want as a leader on your team. He is that guy who will do absolutely anything and everything that's needed to win. He blocks shots. He's willing to fight. He's only 5'10", I think is what he's listed at, but he's one of the most muscular dudes you're going to see. He hits like an absolute freight train. And in the WHL, we've said it the last 2 years running, Christensen's the biggest pound for pound hitter. There might be guys who are, 6'5" who can throw a bigger hit, but Christensen's going to be able to contend with them because he just knows how to hit people. Great offensive upside, like you guys said, great offensive awareness. I think my favorite goal he scored was during his 19-year-old season. And I can't remember if it was in Brandon or if it was in Moose Jaw. I know we were on the road, but it was overtime. He's the only defenseman on the ice. And all of a sudden, the rush starts developing. He sees it. He steps up into the play to cause a 2-on-1. Passes in the air, and he knocks it out of the air about probably chest height into the back of the net on the rush. Like, that's not something a defenseman does. And he did this for the overtime winner, one of the games that he played 2 years ago. But not only the offensive upside, he's so smart defensively. He knows when he needs to. And I don't know if there's anybody who reads the emotion of a game better than Christensen too. He knows when to step up and make a play, and he's not afraid to drop the gloves. I mean, if you go to hockeyfights.com, look up the 3 fights that he had against Tyler Parr, the Saskatoon Blades. They're all 3 of them are absolute bangers. Last one again came in the last game of the season, the Art Hauser Center between the Raiders and the Blades, and full on yard sale with equipment flying everywhere. I think Christensen knocked Parr down to his knees 3 times in the fight, and he still got up. Like, just absolute cinema with it. And then there's the slap shot. We dubbed it the Juice Bomb over the last few years. Juice is his nickname, of course. And
Juice Bomb.
Actually, I'll show you this quick here. His bobblehead from last year. We even made a thing out of it here too. So it's got the orange slice on the bottom and the little bomb that he's firing here on the puck here and everything too. So he absolutely beloved here in Prince Albert. And they're gonna miss him here. You know, if we could keep him till he was 21 or 22, we'd love to have him here again. But not only all that stuff on the ice, off the ice, he's such a competitor too. Like, he's the guy who everybody credits with, bringing this team together. You know, it's little things like when the team's going out for meals and stuff like that. He's always the first to go sit by somebody new. He was never sitting by the same guy. He's always, if there's a guy who's brand new to the team, Christensen's the first guy to go shake his hand, sit next to him at supper and have a conversation with the guy. He's just, I couldn't speak higher of the guy. I absolutely love Justice Christensen. I told him that the day that he plays a game for the Red Wings, I'll be the first one asking for a signed jersey. I can't wait to see what he does. And I know at the end of the season last year when we lost in the finals there to Everett, he was pretty much on his way to Grand Rapids to go join the Griffins during their playoff run. And then I think the day before he was supposed to leave was when the Griffins had their playoff run end. So I know he's really excited to get to Grand Rapids as well. And I think Griffins fans, you guys are absolutely going to love this guy.
I was super excited when they signed him in April last year. It sounded like he was going to maybe come over, but you guys made it really deep into the playoffs, kind of delayed that a little bit, and then we didn't make it as deep in the playoffs as we wanted to. So, but it was kind of interesting to have the chance of having him come over again.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, he just signed a 2-year contract to play with the Griffins, so that'll be cool having him for 2 years.
Absolutely. He does things right. Just a great kid. His parents, Todd and Vanessa, out of Red Deer as well, great people as well. And it's really, we're really going to miss seeing him around the Art Hauser Center here in PA for sure.
Yeah, and another thing, the fights, that's any Red Wings fan knows that we need someone like that, someone with some grit, someone who's actually not scared to drop the gloves, because it seems a little soft around here in Hockey Town lately.
Like he does it all. I mean, he's got 3 years in a row where he's played 60+ games, so he finds ways to stay on the ice, stay healthy and competitive, and then a 40+ points in 3 years in a row too.
18 goals.
Well, and in his 19-year-old year too, our the most goals scored by a Raiders defenseman in a single year was Josh Morrissey, 28 goals, and then Daxon Rudolph actually tied that this year.
Gotcha.
During 2019, Juice, I think in December and January, went on this crazy run where he was scoring almost every second night. And he was flirting with that a little bit in his second year as well, too. And it all goes back to the Juice Bomb. I mean, he's got such a lethal slap shot and a really good ability to get it through traffic, too. I think that might be a little bit more of an underrated skill of his as well. You know, he can blast it if he wants, but he can be smart with getting that thing through there, too.
Yeah, we've noticed that. We just watching his highlights, kind of catching up with, what we got to talk about with this guy. And there's just so much because he seems to contribute on every level of the ice. And yeah, the way he does find the net, it's like he's the late man in, he's getting a killer slap shot, and it's finding the net somehow a lot. And it's like, wow, I mean, he looks really good doing this. And
yeah, there's a lot of those highlights where he just sneaks right all across that blue line and drops the Juice Bomb, and it just hits the back of the net.
Absolutely.
The more I watch, the more excited I get about this guy.
Not afraid to get up in there.
No, and you know what? Honestly, the other thing you're not going to see as much on the highlights is his shot blocking ability, because he's not scared of anything. And there's some games where I kind of wish he was. Maybe I think he if we're up 8-1, he's still laying out to block a shot and protect a goaltender stats or something like that, right? Like, I swear that at some point, he was walking around made of duct tape because he will take some tough shots to block just to support his team. But yeah, he does everything. Absolutely.
So if you were to compare him to like a current NHL player or an all-time NHL player, who would you say would a comparable player would be?
It's tough to think of that just because of his size. He plays so much bigger than he is. Like I kind of like the Mo Seider comparison. I don't think Juice has quite the same wheels as Mo does. And I know he said Mo was a bit of a character when he met him at the camp last year here as well. But that's a tough one. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head just because Juice plays a game so much bigger than his size. Like I said, he's 5'10", and I think that's why I think when he first got in the WHL, he was still only like 5'7" or something like that during his draft year. So I think his size is the thing that scares people away from him the most. If you watch his game, it shouldn't. He plays so much bigger. He hits like a freight train. He has a shot like one too. I don't know who to make the comparison with. Like I said, Mo Seider I like, but he just maybe not quite the same wheels. Maybe that's probably the best answer I can give you on that one.
Right on. So what do you think his absolute NHL ceiling could be? Like, where if everything were to go right, where do you think he could land himself? Where do you think his ceiling would be?
I don't think he'll ever be a number 1 or 2 defenseman in the NHL. I don't think he'll be that. But I also think he'll go as far as he wants to with things in life as well. Like I said, when I say he's an undeniable kid, if he wants something, he's going to go after it with everything that he has, and he's going to do his best to make sure it happens. So I expect him to make the NHL and make it as a fairly consistent guy there. He could be. He could be your bottom 4 defenseman kind of thing in a Stanley Cup run team. If he plays that 3, 4, 5, 6 role as a defenseman, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. He has every tool in the bag to make that happen.
Awesome.
Yeah, and he's from Red Deer, so I bet the Red Deer Rebels are kind of kicking themselves for not taking this kid out of the WHL draft.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are, and especially after we kind of got rid of him in the playoffs first round this year as well. I'm just throwing a little shot out there at that one, but and his family had a box rented out pretty much every game we went to Red Deer too. So there was a big Christensen section every time we went to Red Deer over the last couple seasons, and it's going to be weird not seeing that next year actually.
Well, I guess we can wrap it up with Justice Christensen. Super excited to have him in Grand Rapids. Hopefully he can make that push for a roster spot as well over the next couple of years. And then we're going to talk about the big man in net, Michal Orsulak, who we picked up in the NHL draft this year in 2026. So kind of an exciting one to talk about. Another big goalie as we just lost Sebastian Cossa. We're adding ripe new prospects into the system.
Yeah. I kind of had a feeling that when I saw the Cossa trade that Orsulak might end up there. There was just something in my heart that told me that, even though there's 32 goaltenders taken in the draft over the last couple of days, just ridiculous. But Orsi is a character. I mean, you guys, when you get a chance to see him, you're gonna love him. We went kind of took him on a flyer out of the European draft. Basically just saw him at the Gretzky Hlinka Cup, from what I understand, where he put on a pretty solid effort there. And we knew we needed a goaltender going into last year. So kind of took a swing on the big man from Czechia, and boy, are we glad we did, because Orsulak's phenomenal. Played for Team Czechia at the World Juniors, won a silver medal with them. Beat Canada in the qualifier, in the knockout stage of the World Juniors as well, and I think that was such a big thing. And I know they lost her in the round robin, so that was a big thing for Orsi to come back and win it there too. but I got to go back to the very first game he ever played with us, which was in the first game of the regular season against the Saskatoon Blades again. And first 2 periods, phenomenal hockey. Played absolutely lights out, making some big saves. Art Hauser Center crowd starting to feel it. I don't think he's ever played in a building with, over 2,000 fans completely packed, all screaming at him and loving it and everything like that. And third period, and all of a sudden, it's a little bit of, okay, this is the Orsi show. I am going to take you guys on a bit of an adventure here now. And he let in a goal. That was a little bit surprising, both hands up right off the glove. It kind of just sneaks in that moment of, did that actually go in sort of thing. And then after that, there was a power play Saskatoon had where he came out of the net, and I think Saskatoon's forechecker was at the top of the circle, or the puck was at the bottom of the circle. And Orsi comes out to beat him for the puck, and he went for the goalie goal on the penalty kill. And I don't think he missed by much, if I remember right. He actually went for another one later in the year too, and missed by about a foot. And I'm telling the story here. It's funny, but he just got better and better throughout the year. I mean, that size of his is a big factor. He's able to use that size to get across and make saves that maybe he wouldn't be able to otherwise. With he's a very athletic goaltender, but there is still a little bit of that movement, I think, that needs to improve. And I think another year here in the WHL is going to be big for him in that regard, because last year was the best competition he's ever played against, and he stepped into that role so well. I think there is still pieces of his game to work on a little bit. I think his size, I think his overall athletic ability is there. It's now, I think, more or so habits that need to be kind of drilled into him a little bit. Because he makes some incredible athletic saves. I know you guys are probably going to ask me for a comparison later on. I kind of see a little bit of that Dominic Hasek in him, in a sense of like,
that's my favorite goaltender.
Mine too, absolutely. And but there is a little bit of that unorthodox, I'm just going to stop the puck no matter what sort of thing that happens with him, and those are his best saves. And I think with a little bit more, a little bit more training, another year of consistent play here in the WHL, I think those habits, and then those, always making sure you're in perfect positioning for the shot, and always making sure you're completely locked in and dialed in, those sort of things. I think those are going to be huge. I've seen online a little bit of talk about how he can't perform in big games and big moments, and I don't agree with that. I think you see what he did at the World Juniors. Yeah, he lost the gold medal game. He was in the freaking gold medal game, and he beat Canada to get there. Like, that's a big deal here, people. Big deal. I saw some criticism on him during the finals of the playoffs. Well, against Everett. Well, we had to win 3 other rounds of hockey against the Medicine Hat Tigers, included in that pile as well along the way. And he wasn't the reason we lost in Everett. We lost against Everett because Everett just had a deeper team than us, I think. And I shouldn't say a deeper team than us. Maybe, I think overall we were probably pretty similar, but their top end actually was a lot better than us. That line of Miettinen and Bear and Muhanen just victimized us. Pardon me, Van Hunnen, not Muhanen. Pardon me, I'm getting my defensemen and forwards mixed up. But Orsi's such a good dude, and he's such a character too. Like I said, we saw him go for the goaltender goal a couple times this year and just missed it in one of the playoff games we finished in this year. He's the guy who shows up wearing the Pit Vipers, and he's not afraid to be a big personality in the room. Gets a little shy when I put a microphone on him, because we do a live post game show at the Art Hauser Center in front of people, and I think there is still a little bit of language barrier there. I think last year was pretty much his first time speaking full-on English to everybody, and so he's still learning the language a little bit. But the language doesn't matter. He's so funny, and he's so fun to be around. He's just such a great character. And when I was sitting on my couch writing up stuff on the draft, waiting to see who the next Raider was going to be that got picked, and when I saw Orsi was going to Detroit, I legitimately jumped out of my chair. I was so excited. I couldn't be happier for the kid. And
awesome.
I mean, what a great place to go.
Yeah, I mean, you're making us really excited. I hope the Red Wings organization is excited as we are, just to kind of get these guys. There's chemistry between them. So hopefully Orsulak in the future can make his way and reunite with Christensen in either the Red Wings or Grand Rapids, wherever they have to meet up. But it's a stacked goalie room for Detroit. So just adding the fresh, another prime ripe goalie that's going to contend with the rest of these guys is impressive.
Well, not only that too, but I think, going from Kosa to Orsulak too, I know Trey Augustine's coming up in the wings here as well pretty soon as well. I think, this would be a good year to get Augustine up to the national level. But now you all of a sudden have a goaltending prospect that now you can wait on a little bit. With the Dylan Larkin trade news coming this way and stuff like that, like it's pretty obvious that the Red Wings window's pushed back a little bit here. Orsulak could be a guy who finds his way into that NHL role here when the Red Wings are ready to make a run here, and I'd love to see him be a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 2.22 goals against average and a .907 save percentage. That's really good stats. Well,
we were the team that had the biggest goal differential in the league this year between goals scored and goals against. And we had great defense in front of him, don't get me wrong, but Ors was a big reason for that too. He played some phenomenal games. The one thing I'll say about Ors is sometimes, and this goes back, I think, to the habits sort of thing, where I think he needs, just a little bit of that drilling to get the things back in order. Is I think sometimes in games where there was a lot of games last year where he didn't see much action, where, it was common to see. He had a couple shutouts last year where he had 14, 16 shots sort of thing, right? And I think sometimes he can get he can get out of the game a little bit sometimes when he's not seeing much action, whereas games where he's being peppered with 30, 40 shots, he's dialed in and you're not going to get anything by him, right? So I think that's maybe the one area, like I said, is sometimes he can kind of check out. I don't want to say check out of a game. That doesn't do it justice, but yeah, like that happened a few times where I think, I think he needs to feel the puck a little bit to get into the game sometimes.
Yeah, he's picking dandelions while the offense is coming down the ice. You're like, all right, dude, get back in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's funny.
So you said NHL comparison, you'd say Dominik Hasek, which is a really good comparison. What would you say the NHL ceiling could be?
That I don't know, and it's mainly because I've only seen him for 1 year. If I see, and goalies are hard too. You never know exactly what you're going to get with them. You take a look at the NHL draft this year, and I think NHL Central Scouting had Brady Noling out of the USHL as the number one goaltender in among North Americans. And I think he got picked like 4 or 5 rounds after Orsulak, who was right behind him. So, goaltending, that's a tough one to judge. I like I said earlier, I could see him being part of the Red Wings, when they get to that next level of maybe contending for a championship again here. But I'm not sure. Like I said, I've only seen him for 1 year. I could have a better answer for you at the end of this season when I can see the improvement from last year going into the next season. Because, around this age, there's so much improvement from guys. We talked about Daxton Rudolph earlier. I mean, the improvement from 16 to 17-year-old Daxton Rudolph went from a guy who was kind of middle of the pack when it comes to scoring, and now all of a sudden is leading defenseman and leading the entire playoffs in scoring, right? You're going to see something similar with Ors, and I'm not 100% sure where that ceiling is yet because I don't totally know where the floor is, if that makes sense.
Oh, I think we just glitched out a touch there. We're back on track, it looks like now.
All right, perfect. I was just saying, like with Ors, I don't know where 100% where the ceiling is yet, just because I don't 100% know where the floor is yet, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes 100% sense, and he's a guy that we really want to talk about because he's probably a guy that will end up going through the Griffin system, as we mainly talk Griffins, of course. So high interest for him to stop by on the way to the Red Wings if that's the path he takes. It would be kind of cool if like Postava, another Czech goalie, kind of runs ship for a minute after Gibson, and then we get just kind of follow through with another big Czech goalie.
Yeah, and he was drafted third round for the Detroit Red Wings, just so everybody does know who doesn't know that yet.
Yeah. He's a great kid, though, and I can't wait to see what he does in the pros. But Not quite yet. Give me another year with him first. I like watching him here.
100%. Yep. We'll hope he has another great season in the WHL with Prince Albert. And I think for Michael Orsulak, that's what we'll talk about today. Is there anything else that you want to talk about Prince Albert, about the Red Wings, things happening around Carter Bear, maybe?
Yeah, you know what?
Him?
I saw, yeah, definitely for sure. I saw Carter Bear a lot in the playoffs. And I don't know if there's anybody on Everett I disliked more during that playoff run because, man, did he just cause problems. You know, he was playing on a top line with Julius Miettinen and Matthias Van Hunnen as well. Miettinen and Van Hunnen were the guys who were putting the puck in the net. Bear had his goals and his big moments as well. Thing that really, really impressed me about Carter Bear during that playoff series was his ability to draw penalties by playing the game the right way. You know, I think of I'd compare him in a sense to Brad Marchand, but take the annoying factor from Brad Marchand and make him more of a bully in a sense. Like Carter Bear I want to say he drew probably in 5 games. I want to say he drew like 6 penalties, and all of them were because he was just playing in your face, smash mouth, snarled hockey. And like I said, I hated him playing, being on the other side of the ice, cheering for the Raiders. I couldn't stand him, but I can't wait to see him in a Red Wings jersey because I know I'm going to love him then. But you know, if he's got open space towards the middle, he's not afraid to skate through somebody. You know, if you're strong on your stick, he's not going to avoid it. He's going to skate at you, and he's going to force you into a bad position and make a bad decision and take a penalty. And it's incredibly frustrating for the other team to deal with. But then he'll be on the power play and he'll make a move and he'll score too. He's got a great shot. I don't know what he's like leadership wise or in the room or anything like that, but I kind of gathered that he was somebody who the team rallied around a little bit after Terrence Smith, their captain, was injured. And I think he's going to be a big piece moving forward here. And I don't know what the likelihood of him stopping in Grand Rapids is. I don't know what the plan moving forward for Carter Bear is because I'm obviously not in the Everett Silvertips organization. But man, Red Wings fans and Griffins fans, if this guy's coming your way, I think you're going to love him because I couldn't stand him being on the other side of the ice from him, and I can't wait to cheer for him in that regard as well. You're getting a lot of grit with that. Even JP Hurlbert, who I only saw once last year with Kamloops, like prolific scorer, but he's got some snarl to his game as well. And I think I really like this draft class, at least from the guys I've seen out of the WHL who are coming towards Detroit and Grand Rapids. Really like this draft class, and I can't wait to see what's going to look like moving forward.
Yeah, and even Landon DuPont coming over to come play. He was a teammate of Carter Bear. Now he'll be a teammate of JP Holbert, and be a kind of interesting aspect if they could get the Red Wings get their hands on that kid.
Yeah, he's a special talent too. I got a lot of good look at DuPont here during the playoffs as well. He's a real special talent for sure.
Well, that being said, I think that should wrap us up for today. We want you to shout out your socials and promotions so fans can find you.
Absolutely. The only socials I really have out there are on my Twitter. I'm at Nick the Radio Guy. If you want to see where a lot of my content's posted, check the Raiders section on panow.com and on the Prince Albert Raiders website as well. That's where most stuff that I write up goes, either on the Raiders website or panow.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on. We had a great time talking to a fellow Red Wings fan also, so that's really cool. Hopefully for the best, because days are probably going to get pretty dark here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I bragged about it for a while that I didn't mind the Red Wings missing the playoffs for a little bit. If I got 2 Stanley Cups in my life watching them, and first 21 years of my life, they never missed the playoffs. And now we're, I think year 9 or 10 from 10, the playoffs. Yeah. I'm ready to be back. But
yeah. Well, thank you again. Really appreciate you coming on, Nick. Hopefully we can talk again in the future. Maybe Orsulak does such a good job that we need to contact you for next year. So
I'd love to. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to talk to you boys again. That sounds like a great time.
awesome. You have a good rest of your day, Nick.
Thanks a lot. Same to you.
Thank you very much, Nick Nielsen, for coming onto the show and talking about the Prince Albert Raiders. If you haven't yet, go like his content and give him a like and share or whatever. Give him some love. Give us some love. And yeah, stay tuned for our next episode. We have another one coming up soon. So
Yeah. Check us out on whatever platform. And yeah, one more time, thanks, Nick Nielsen. Everyone go check him out. We'll be back with another episode of Players in the Pipeline shortly. Go Griffins.
go Griffins.
Thank you for listening to the Griffins Pipeline podcast. If you enjoyed the show, give us a 5-star review. We are part of the Hockey Podcast Network. We are not partnered with the Grand Rapids Griffins, Detroit Red Wings, or Toledo Walleye. We are not experts. We are just die-hard fans looking to make a community with others alike. Let's go Griffins Nation. Join the fun, like and follow us on Facebook and X, or call into the show and have your opinion heard 1-616-319-1175. Thank you. Grand Rapids Griffins, Toledo Walleye, and Detroit Red Wings. Players, coaches, websites, and social media. Thank you AHL.com, NHL.com, ETL.com, EliteProspects.com, and anyone else putting out information on the teams. Until next time, go Griffins. Go Red Wings, go Walleye.